Hi crafters, welcome back to my channel, and we're going to be working on our hinge number 3, which hinge number 3 is for pages 4 and 5, and then we have 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, sorry, that's probably 6, 7, my apologies. So we're going to work on this today. I've got some of the things started, and so we'll talk about that. One of the other things that I've been working on is working on the little, the small pieces for the end of the ribbon. And these I made a little bit smaller than the ones that were in the first book. And if I can show you that real quick, these were, had bigger, oh my gosh, punches for this, but I actually bought a smaller punch so that I can do the smaller size punch. This was, I think, 1 inch, and then this was a 3/4 in here, and this one is 5/8 and 1/2 inch. Where the, I think I said on the last video, and I think I made a mistake. I think I said this was 3/8, but it's really 5/8 and 1/2 inch. And so I just put then the glossy accents on them and let them dry overnight or a couple of days. And for the most part, they turn out pretty good. There's some that sometimes can get bubbles in that I try to get out of there, but and this is just from pieces of scraps of paper. So let's get working on this page, and when or if we need these, we will go ahead and use them. So with this page, this waterfall page, I did a little bit different. The base papers for the hinge is going to be 9 3/8 by 9 3/8, and that's a whole piece of paper. And then I cut out a band, and the band is 7 1/4 by 10 1/2, and we're scoring at 1/2 inch on each side. And I put that or glued that on the back of this paper so that it would get hidden. And then I left this open underneath. The other thing that I did, which was is different from my other book, and I decided to use the top of the envelopes this time as my hinge rather than making a hinge, where I made hinges the last time. So this is going to be a little different for me. So what I did is I took the envelope and I covered over the back with my paper, and these envelopes are 5 by 7 1/2 or 5 1/8 by 7, 5 1/8 by 7 1/4. So, and they're just a general pack that I just bought. It was on clearance. It was called Park Lane, and it was 12 envelopes and gatefold cards at an A7 size. And again, I just got these through Michael's, or it was either Michael's or it was Hobby Lobby when they were on clearance. So, but they do make great waterfalls. So this time you can see, if you can see in there, I just put the paper down over the top so it made it square, and then I put the cards inside. And I am going to go back and I will cover at least this top piece with the 8x8 paper, which I had done that in my other album just to show you what it would look like using the 8x8 paper, and it really looks very nice. And as you can see, I did not fill this in because I'm planning on doing pictures in here, and I might even do some journaling down here. So there could be some additions, but I just don't want this to get way too heavy. So for that, and what we're going to do then, once we get all the envelopes on here, we will then attach this to our base page. On the front of here, what I did is I took a piece of the Patterns and Solids, and the size of this, the paper, the covering paper was just over 7 inches, 7 1/8 by 5 inches. And I moved that off to this side a little bit more so that I had more clearance over on this side. And then this is one of the cut aparts on the papers, and I matted it with a navy blue mat underneath to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. So the mat, the navy blue mat, was 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then this is a 4 by 6 cut apart from the paper. So let's go ahead and let's get the rest of the envelopes down, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to attach the ribbon, and we'll get going on that. The other thing that I've been thinking about is with this waterfall this time, whether I wanted to mat these all the way along, meaning the whole area matted, or if I wanted to just do edging, an edging mat. The only thing that I didn't like as well, when I did the edging mat, because they're a little bit further back, because it's just 5 envelopes, it took away a lot from my photo mat. So I'm almost even thinking of doing something different on the inside of here than I did on the other one. So I'm not going to worry about matting the rest of this right now. One of the things that I'm thinking is to do a thinner, to do a piece of paper, but then do separate photo mats on the back of here. I might like that a little bit better, making it look like a 3 by 4 or something like that. So there's just many different things that you can do, and make the decision on what you think looks best for your waterfall. So what you can see here is I did make some pencil marks on my envelopes because I wanted to lay them out to kind of see where I was at with making them even along the way. So there we go. And the thing I'm most concerned about is making them even side to side, more so than anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting one of these down, and we'll move on that. All right, well, I sure hope everybody had a good Easter. I'm actually recording this just after Easter, and hoping that you all had a wonderful Easter, whether it was with family or if it was with family over Skype, or it was, everybody at home together. Hope you had a nice time with that. My Easter, I tell you, was pretty quiet. I just stayed home with my daughter, and so I didn't get to see my grandbaby, which I really had wanted to, but I'm trying, again, like I said before in another video, I'm trying to be very careful with getting around other illnesses. I'm not paranoid about it, I just want to be more careful, is really my intention, because I had a bad year last year with illness. Nothing major, but bad enough that it took me out of work quite a bit, and that just is not okay for me this year. So okay, actually I think I'm going to do that too. So I've actually seen this done several times by some other some other mini album makers, one of them being Scrap Queen. I've seen her do this several times with her waterfalls, and I always wondered how it would work, and I really liked the way that it turned out with using the envelopes the last time, but I thought it would be wise to go ahead and do it this time with the flaps like I know that has been done in the past. So and I like putting the waterfalls on a base like this because I feel like I get them more even. And then in between the waterfall pieces, we're going to also cut some patterned paper and cover that over with some of that, so we are not, ooh, hold on. Sorry here. Very off on that. Sorry about that. All right. So, man, what did I do with that? Feels like I put it one direction and then it moves on me another direction, so I think we'll be okay like that. So the other thing that I didn't mention is that on the envelopes, when you are putting them down, not down, but when you are getting them ready for the waterfall, I've also taken just a 1/16 of an inch off of the end of the envelope, and I will show you that as soon as I get this last one down. There we go. So what I did is I cut off just like a 1/16 of an inch, just a very small piece, and it then opens up the bottom of the envelope to make it like a flap. And I also, guess what I'm talking about there, I also cut off a little bit of these cards, just, you know, maybe 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. It really kind of depends upon how tight they're fitting into the envelope and if there's any issues getting them easily in or out. So I just made sure that I cut a little bit of that down. So then what we're going to do is I've got some ribbon that is cut, and the ribbon is, I would say 12. Trying to learn how not to cut my ribbon so long. So I would say probably about 16 inches. And I don't have any more of the gold ribbon that I used on the last book, but I'm going to go ahead and put this kind of burnt red or rust kind of a color on here. And I think we're just going to do it in the middle. So I'm going to set this down here, and I'm going to put my score tape right on the back we're 9.5, so I'm going to do right at 4.5. I think that will work good if we're doing it right across here. Yep. So I'm going to do that. Do this one on this side. And I'm going to take the end of this. The other thing that I do with my ribbons is I like to put, and I'm not going to do it this time, but otherwise I do put fray check on the bottom of my ribbons so that the seam binding doesn't fray off. I know some crafters will use fray check, some just tie a knot at the end. But I like to use the fray check. For me, then I'm sure it's not going to fray on me over time. Just going to use a little bit of extra on here. And then essentially, once we have that, we can then come in and we can tie our ribbons on here. The other thing that I added onto this page is I did put border strips. These are off of your border strip pages, and I did trim both sides of, not trim, I edged with the vintage photo. So we're going to put those down. The nice thing is that you can put photos into the waterfall pages, but you can also then put a large booklet or mat underneath here. So like a nice big photo mat would be great. I'm going to turn this around. And let's do, I think I'm going to do this one this way. Yeah, I think so. And you can use any of the trim that you want to use, or border strips. Maybe you even prefer to use the sticky border strips. I just liked having the symmetry of the same border strip on the top and the bottom. So that's why I chose this one. Oops. All right. So then we have that. The other thing that we want to look at is our strips for in here. And I'm going to cut them all out of the same paper back here. But then on the back in here, this is where I used larger piece of the main page. If I can find it real quick here. Or I should say the signature page. Here, let's look at this real quick. With the pear, to put it a little bit more under so I'm not using it right on top like I had used the pear along several different spots out in front. I'm going to take those. Goodness gracious. I just had that. Oh, you know what? Crazy me. I actually pulled it out so that I would have it all ready. Sorry about that. I kind of prepared things 2 days ago and to get this recorded properly. So what I had done before is I had used the whole inside of this, or to cut along here and so that it was cut exactly along this border edge here. How can there it is. So what I need to make that is so that's 7 1/4. So we need to make that 7 1/8 by 7 1/8 by 5 1/8. So 7 1/8 by 5 1/8. So I am going to do this bigger cutter first. So 5 1/8. So that's up in, no. This is, so that's how much I need of that. So I'm going to take it off of this side, 5 1/8. And that'll take off a few of these flowers. But again, we can keep that for a border strip on for something. And then I need 7 1/8. So I am going to take this, if 7 1/8 is to here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut right here to keep that top of the border. And then I'm going to measure from down below and see what kind of a range we have on that. Okay, so that's not going to work because we need to at least get to that point of our, and we can save this again and make a photo mat out of that piece, which I thought looked nice. So I'm gonna have to go back to this and just gauging where I'm at. Oh goodness. I'm going to cut to there and see if we can get away with leaving that top piece on there. If I can't, I'll have to cut a little bit more off. No, I think I can just get away with it. So, yep, good. So then let's take our vintage photo along the edges of this. Right. And then this is underneath, and you can leave it just as a part of the, you know, a picture that you want from the paper, or you can even put a photo on top of that spot, depending upon what your favorites are. Good. Actually, that's quite perfect. That looks good. So again, I'm not going to mat all of these now, but just know that this is probably going to be an inch, inch and a half, probably an inch, if I'm looking at that correctly, or an inch and an eighth is probably the distance that you would need to use. And on the inside of here, I probably would use an inch and an eighth, you know, with the folding of the flap. I'd say almost maybe an inch, you know, just to be on the safe side. So last time I did is I just took papers that were extra, and part of my leftovers from my other bigger cuts, and then I went back to add those. Now, this is what I normally do then, is I pick out a couple of the doodads, as I call them. Let's take this one, and I'm going to take this one. And basically all that I do is I add glue to the middle of that, and I am going to press this over just a bit so that I can get the whole piece on there. And then I add the other one to the other side. And then I hold that down for a little bit till it somewhat settles down or it comes together. Takes a little bit of encouragement on these to keep them together when there is something, especially because I doubled over that ribbon. So, but that makes a nice little tab at the end, or ornament at the end, and it really doesn't cost you anything to add that to the paper. It's everything pretty much that you've got or you've had for that, so it makes a little bit of ornament. And let me take one other set. And the reason why I'm doing this right away is because I want to make sure that my ribbons don't fray. I think I'm going to start off with a little bit more glue on the end. And actually, probably can get away with that. Hold that for a few minutes, and I just hold it by the edge and hold it down. And if there's anything left on the side, you can come back and clean up some of that on the side if there's glue, because some of it is squirted out here a little bit, but it dries clear, so it'll probably be all good. All right, you know, it's getting a little dark in here. I'm going to turn on another light real quick, just to add a little bit of light. Hopefully that helps. All right, so we've got that page done. So let's get that onto our base and make sure our tunnels are going the right way and the back is that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the glue right onto here, because it'll be easy. It's easier for me to do that than onto the back of pattern paper. And we will glue that all down. All right. Go. Got that down. The other thing is if for some reason you forget to put your ribbon on the back of your base matting, you can also attach your ribbon to the inside of here, of your pockets or your tunnels. You can. I've had to do that before myself, and it works just fine. So there we go. We have that page completed, and we're going to go on to the back of that page next. So on the back of that page, we have, got it flopping all around, is this. So we have a flip, and we have a pocket, and in this flip we also have a mat in here, and we're matting this flip. We're not going to do the book today, but I just have a photo mat in here. This can be any size that you want it to be, and I probably am going to add even more mats inside of here, and or you can take and put pictures on the side here. You can put them coming down this way, even though it's facing this way. You can always do that. So we're going to get started on that page next. And let me grab my pieces. So we're going to work on getting all of this together, and then we'll go from there. So first thing that I do, I have my base. Oops, this is the wrong base. I've got this other base. This is going on the back of here. So on the base, what we're going to be adding is our pocket, and the pocket for that is, let me just look at the pocket is, I know it's going to be 9 3/8 with, here we go. Cut one, I'm at 4.5 by, oh, that's not right. Okay, my apologies. Just going to, this is 10.5 by 4 3/4. And then what I did is I took my paper punch, the small one, and I used the punch across the top of this pocket to give it a little bit of interest. So what we're going to start off with is I'm going to actually cover over, I think, the pocket to begin with, and we'll kind of go from there. So let me see what I've got. And again, this, I used different strips than I had used the last time, just to see what I liked, and I think I'm going to do this. Do that, and then it's this. I believe we came right into here. Yes. Oh, I have one cut already. Goodness gracious. And then this one is coming up right to the top of here. So these are all edged, and I'm going to put, and again, the paper, I cut the matting so that it is 1/8 of an inch shy of the final mat. Not the final mat, but on the pocket. So this matting would be, if this is 10.5, but it's really 9.5, because we have to score here and score here. So we cut this paper at 9 3/8. And again, with this came to 4 3/4. Well, actually, it was probably 4 7/8, it looks like. So I am going to, then after my fold, I then come to 4 3/8. And so I probably would do 4 1/4, how I made sure that it was all covered if you were doing one solid piece. So should come together pretty quickly, having most of it all cut out. Hopefully I'm a little bit over that edge. I think I'm just going to put it up. No, I might take a little bit of that purple off. Okay, now you can watch how I do this with this little piece of paper. But the thing about this cutter is it is so good with cutting off very small pieces. Look at that. I think it's awesome. So, let me just never seem to do this well. A long thin strip. I want to kind of just go like this, but then I feel like I'm not going to get all the edges, so I think I'm going to butt that one right up to it so that I don't, yeah, that's perfect. And with that, what I had done on the other book is I took and put this down because it sat sideways for some kind of decoration on that pocket, and then let's put that down right away. All right. And this is going all the way down, not leaving it open to put anything underneath it, because there's some fine pieces on this that I just don't want to rip. There we go. Just get a little bit of that excess glue out of there. I know it'll dry clear, but I think it'll look a little bit better if we sideways. Make sure that I got it the right way. Even if though I have arrows on here, I didn't look at those arrows. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our flip onto this page, and we have to also put a magnet down to hold this down. Gotta figure out where I did that. Oh, goodness gracious. You know what? I did it again. Oh, no. Yes, I did. So sometimes I get so ahead of myself that I think that I'm being so prepared, and really my magnet was down here. So I am going to, I may not, I don't know, I'll have to think about that. I think I might just hit my magnet at the top and the bottom, or the top and the bottom, and maybe use smaller magnets so that because most of the time what's going to happen is there's going to be a photo mat in the middle. So I think what I'm going to do is try to do that with two smaller magnets, and to kind of get away from having to use the bigger ones, because I matted my pocket before I laid my mats or my magnets down. So let's get this page on, and this is our flap, and on the flap we also rounded the edges, but this is 7 3/4, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and this is then 9 3/8. It's almost 9 1/2, but it's 9 3/8. And let's take our corner rounder. And this I'm going to keep away just a little bit from the edge of this page, because that's the hinge side of the page. All right. So next, let's get this pocket on, because this is going to go down, and I don't think I'll have any problem sliding that in under that. So we've got this done, and I've given you the measurements, and this, I mitered the edges of the pocket as well as the side hinges. I like doing my pockets this way. I've seen some people do the hinges on the side, and then the bottom is just flat down. There's no hinge on the bottom. So there's no really right or wrong way of doing it. It's just how much room that you want in the pocket, and for me sometimes it's just I want the mats to easily move within the pockets. So that's why I do what I do. Okay. Make sure this is all sticking down well. Alrighty, so let's take a look. Basically, I just want to make sure that I can keep this flap staying down. So I am going to put a magnet here and a magnet right down here, because then it can be effectively covered over with the paper, and it's not right in the middle of my mat area. Alrighty, so let's get these down. I'm going to get these down, and then what I want to do is I'm going to put the matting over them, and then we'll put the other ones on this page. You know, it's funny, I started working on another page, and I don't know if you watched the walkthrough or not, but I was so frustrated with myself because I forgot to put magnets in this page, and I said I wasn't going to do that the second time around. Well, guess what I did? I matted it all so that I couldn't use magnets on that one. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. I just think it's hilarious. I could use ribbons again, or I also could use a different type of closure on it, but I'm not sure I don't want to do ribbons on every page. But if I have to, I will. This paper is really, there is no right or wrong. It does go both ways. So move that down just a little bit. There we go. Just want to make sure this is down real good. All right, so then there we go. Okay. Oh, for goodness sakes. When no one is watching, they come off very easily and quickly. But as soon as you get watching on the video is when they don't want to come off. So that's always the way it goes. So we've got that. Got that down. So let's get our matting done for that. And we are going to be using this paper, and we're putting that onto the inside. So let's round our corners. Oop, the large one. And then I've done the, oh, well, maybe I haven't. You can see I'm not really distressing it too much with the color. I'm just trying to make sure that that white is not showing through. And making sure that I'm fairly level, going the way I want it to go. I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch the tutorial and spend some time with me going through this. This is probably my longest video series or group that I've done, so I really sincerely appreciate it so much. And I also appreciate Tamara and the Country Craft Creations group for allowing me to do this. All right, so we've got that done, and you'll see how that just holds it enough. So we're going to do that, and actually on the front of this page we're doing the same color of matting, and what I want to do is to, I really like this, see, I almost did the, no, it was the right side. Oh my gosh, scared myself. I think it's very pretty. I like the size of the Fruit and Flora on this piece. All right. So there we go. I think that's good. So let me know in the comments if you want me to come back and show you what I've done on this page on the other side with the rest of the matting. Just leave a quick comment if you want to see it. Otherwise, I will do a quick walkthrough at the end of this album again, just so that we do a final walkthrough, because the first walkthrough was my test album, and are really my own private album, in the sense that I wanted to work on it or put it together, not just on camera. Sometimes it takes me a while to think of exactly what I want to do, so it's much easier if it's already been made. So what we're going to do with this is this is going to be going right onto this page, and I'm going to only glue the 3 sides of this. So that's bending a little bit. I should have glued that down right away, but I'm going to glue that down so that underneath we will have a pocket. Sure it's right side up. Center it. Oh, good. All right, and then onto the back side of this, what I ended up doing was tucking in this into the pocket. Gosh, does that look uneven? Almost looks a little uneven. All right, so what we're going to do then is to put a piece of the pattern paper on the back of here, and this is, let's just take it this way, lay it down. So that is 1.5 by 6 3/8. So need something just shy of that, and know exactly what paper I want. So here we go. Let's find this. My schnibbly bits. I think it's on the back of this one. No, that is not. I think I remember what page it's on, or what it's on the back of, but I guess I don't. Oh, here it is. This is the one I want. So this is 1.5, so I'm going to make that just shy. So 1.5, 1 3/8. So 1 1 3/8 by, it was 6 3/8, but I am going to do 6, 1, 2, 4. Yeah, I'm gonna do 6 3/8. Did I grab the wrong one? Oh, I can't believe it if I did. For goodness sakes, no, this is the right one. And we will just go right in there. It's a little bit more navy blue than I want to have showing, but it's the back of the card. It will not matter one bit. All right. So we'll go ahead and get that down. Push that a little bit up. Even that out. We will then take, this is one of the cut aparts that is the 3x4, I believe. It is 3x4, yes. And so then I just matted it with navy blue cardstock 1/8 of an inch larger than the 3x4 all the way around, and that goes right into there. And that is this page, or this hinge completely done. So this is hinge 3. So we are on 6 and 7, and we will get started on page 8 shortly. Let me see what I've got cut out for that. Our page 8 is actually going to be a series of other pieces, but let me grab that all and I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. So we're going to do this part, hinge 4. So with that being hinge 4, that would be 2, 4, 6. So this would be 7 and 8. And we have that on the back, and we want to make sure our hinges are facing the right way. This is a little bit of a simpler page too, because we've had some bulkier things going on. And with this page, this is what it looks like. We have 2 pockets, and I did have a tag in there, but I ended up taking that out with 3 photo mats, and this is just straight down onto the navy cardstock or base page. So let's go ahead and get that all together. And I have cut the bottom pocket is it is 7 inches by 5 inches, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on either side, miter the edges, and we will put this directly down onto here. But what I'd like to do first is see if I can tuck this in here just to make sure we've got it. Yep. So before I get that all the way down, this is going to be one of our other pockets. Oops, is going to be 3.5 by 7. Yep, 3.5 by 7, maybe a little bit shy of 7, so that it's easier to tuck into that other pocket. I did not do a bottom to this one. In the other album I did, but I wanted to try out and see if I could use one of the larger graphic 45 tags going down into that pocket. So that's the reason why I didn't do it this time. So I'm going to go ahead and get actually, be okay to slide that right in there. So I'm gonna get this pocket down, and if it doesn't work well, then I'll just have to rip it off. It's just paper after all. I do this pretty much up to the edge of the page. If you use this paper at all, I'm wondering what kind of base color you used on your mini album. I've seen some people use craft. Wonder if anybody has used black at all yet. I haven't seen any of them using the black, so you'll have to let me know. Can I put this down? Boy, these sleeves keep falling down on me tonight. You're probably looking at me saying, just leave them alone. So it's straighten that out by the edge of our pocket. Make sure we're straight across. So I can, yeah, that'll work. I'll do a taller tag in there, and then we'll have shorter mats right in there. And I think I cut this paper for, you know what, I don't think I cut this properly. So I'm going to wait till I get up there. But this piece, I know I did cut to line up with the pocket here. So this piece that I matted, or I'm matting with, is 5 7/8 by 4 3/8. And vintage photo around all the edges. And goodness, there's no magnets on this page. So I don't have to worry about missing my magnets. All right. So let's take a look at this. You know, I wonder, did I cut this? No, I didn't. So I'm going to probably take just 1/8 of an inch off here and then cut to right there. Take just a little bit off of here so the mat goes in a little better. Just want to make sure I can get the matting in here without too much of a struggle. Just getting caught on that edge, and then up to there. That way we're not using a whole sheet of paper. And I don't always put vintage photo on the bottom since it goes down into the pocket. We should be good. Just push that down a little bit in there. Oh, I had that in there so good, I thought. And we'll pull that up to where it's what we want it to be. Even though this is plain green, I really like that. Just like the tone of the green. So the other thing that I did is just to add a little bit more color and interest. I did put this on here, but I had a little bit more room in between these two pockets. So I'm not sure I'm going to put anything on there, but this is the ephemera piece that I did. And then on this side, what I did was this patterned paper, and this has been edged all the way around. I want it this way, so we'll put that down. Going to get that so it's butted up closer to the pockets so that it almost looks like it's covering everything underneath, because there is a little bit of that navy blue along there. And then I have my little photo mats. Where'd they go? Right here. The photo mats were small. They were 2.5 by 2.5. And basically what I did is I just eyeballed where they went on the page and fit them into the middle. So I'm going to put the top one down first. I'm going to do the top one, then I'm going to do the bottom one, and we'll fit the middle one in between. Find that it usually is a little bit more even if I do it that way. Right, and then we'll put this one right in the middle. And then I took one of the ephemera pieces and put that along the top. And this is the one that I used. And I put this one just flat down because I was going for a flatter look on this page. Just glued it directly on, even though this is a smaller photo mat, I thought it would still be fine. You never know, you sometimes have those little pictures that you can end up putting in there. So the other thing that I did is I took the cutoff of this piece from the signature page and I put navy blue matting. Now this is 1/4 inch around. I just decided to make it a little bit bigger, and I may even come back and put some cream on the back of these later on. But you can do 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever you prefer. We're going to put this in. The other thing is that a lot of people like to put ribbons through their graphic 45 tags. I'm going to come back and mat that. I have the dies that I will mat that with. And not sure I'm going to put a ribbon on there because I think it adds a bit of bulk to the to the mini album. So this is as far as we're going to go tonight, and I hope that you've enjoyed the tutorial and that it's getting you on a little bit further. Next time we'll do the back and then we'll start on the next page, but the next 2 pages are a little bit more involved, so we may only be able to get to 2 pages done. We'll see how the time goes. Thanks so much for joining me, and visit Country Craft Creations for all your scrapbooking supplies. And like and subscribe the video, and you can be notified of any of the new projects that I'm putting up. Thanks so much. Have a great night.